What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Surfing the Stream, where every week we're on a quest to find out what is the greatest movie of all time. So I have had a South Korean horror movie on my watch list for a decent while this year. Okay, it's been on my watch list, and I just haven't been able to commit to it because one, it's in South Korean, so I gotta read subtitles. So I gotta be able to sit down and really pay attention to this movie, right? I decided to watch Exhuma finally last night, and it is time to fucking talk about this movie because it is one of the best horror movies that I've seen recently and one of the best movies of 2024, no doubt. Exhuma is best experienced knowing very little about the movie. So, basic premise of the movie is we have these people from South Korea that have a family curse, and they just had a newborn son, and they feel he has the curse too. Well, they go and dig up the remains of his a late grandfather, and that's where the curse is coming from originally. So we have all these characters digging up this site to basically exorcise the demon and the curse that is afflicting this family. And over the course of 2 hours and 15 minutes, you really feel this sense of dread. Like the first hour of this movie, nothing really happens. It's really just them talking and them deciding on to go exhume the burial sites and stuff like that, talking with the families, really just sets up the lore, sets up the world that you're going to be in for the next 2 hours. I almost forgot that I was even sitting and watching a horror movie, to be completely honest with you. It doesn't have anything scary going on within that first hour. But when you think about it, you're on the edge of your seat because there's a sense of dread that just permeates throughout the entire movie. Like I just feel scared, even though nothing really scary is even going on. You feel a little terrified of what's going to happen because they slowly build this movie, and then that's when shit really starts going downhill. Is right at the hour mark, and this movie does a great job of making you feel that dread. Of not necessarily giving you scary shit on screen or anything like that. No, they are able to, with the characters, with the tone of the movie, with the setting, able to really just put that sense of dread on you very easily. Now, I'm not going to spoil the entire movie because, like I said, I think it's best experienced knowing very little about the movie. The last hour, especially that the last 30-ish minutes, is fucking just bonkers. But you know what? It's bonkers, but not in a bad way. And it's not crazy in a way that it just doesn't fit with the movie. No, they set that shit up for the entire runtime. So when it gets to that crazy shit, you don't even bat an eye at it. It feels and it makes sense in that world for all that stuff to really, really happen. And for me personally, I haven't watched a lot of like Japanese horror or even South Korean horror, but this movie made me a fucking fan of South Korean horror. I watched that South Korean movie Parasite earlier this year, maybe late last year, and I absolutely fucking love that movie. Fucking love that movie. And again, it does kind of the same thing where it just kind of fills you with dread throughout the entire movie. Like, I want to go watch more of these South Korean horror movies and Japanese horror movies that are kind of fit like the same tone within this because it just does such a great job of giving you this terrified feeling within that not a whole lot of American-made movies can do. And I go back to the setting of this movie. I haven't seen a whole lot of South Korean movies or just Korean-made movies in general. We never really get a sense of the scope of the country outside of the big city. Parasite was kind of like that, where you had this house and then you had the main city, and that's really all you saw. No, this goes to the countryside. This goes up on a mountain, so you can see the actual distance within South Korea. And to me, that was fucking great. It was like another character to this movie. The setting, the mountainside, the gravesite, all of that just added another element to this movie and just elevated it. And all the characters are pretty good. They each have their own distinct personality. You end up rooting for them all throughout the entire runtime. And I gotta say, you just sit on the edge of your seat and you're glued to the TV watching these characters experience what they're experiencing, the supernatural element. And the story does a great job of aiding that and elevating those characters in a way. But yeah, guys, I don't really want to say much more about this movie. I want you to go watch it. It is on AMC Plus or Shutter, whichever. I watched it on AMC Plus. I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna buy this movie. I think it's right around like $15 right now. That's not a bad price. Not a bad price. If you can get it between 10 and $15, I think that'd be the perfect little price point for this movie, because it was that damn good. The story is good throughout. It does get a little convoluted at times with how much they add to the story and to the lore and the world, but it's still so fucking good. So fucking good. And then the characters are good across the board. The horror elements, which really pick up the pace in the back half of the movie, are fantastic. I wasn't really expecting what happened to have happened. Like it completely threw me off. I'm like, wait, this is where we're going? Was not expecting it. And that's not a negative. That is an absolute positive for this movie because I loved where they took this movie and where it eventually ended up. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about Exhuma. Is it good? Is it not? But also, throw out some recommendations for me. South Korean, Japanese horror movies that you feel like I would watch that it's kind of the same tone as this movie. I'm not talking like The Ring or The Grudge or anything like that. I don't want to see those movies again. I want to see something kind of in the same tone as this movie was. But guys, that is going to be it from me. I will catch y'all next time on another episode. Laters.